Good afternoon. Just going to give us a cleanse. And if you've been following me, you'll know why I do this. And it's just, you know, whenever you're working with spirit, the other realms, it's just always good to protect yourself. And that gets me on to part 2 of the Yellow Bit Word. So if you caught the last video, it was about Dorothy and her 3 friends and Toto. I forgot about Toto. You know, he plays a big part in the film. So I'm just giving a shout out to Toto because, yeah, he is Dorothy's friend. You know, he's there from the off. He's from the beginning. Yeah, shout out to Toto because what I meant by is that Dorothy does this journey on her own, is that she is the only one, you know. Toto is by her side, but she is the only one that can do this healing on her own, you know. She's the only one that can find the strength. She's the only one that can find independence, you know, all of that, all the things the Yellow Bit Word brings back to her at the end of this journey. She's the only one that can do it, not Toto. So yeah, but poor Toto. Yeah, so we're part 2. So I've done the automatic writing, and I'll just speak a little bit about that, and then I'll let my angels and spirit guides take over, and we'll channel from the cards. So yeah, part 2, Wizard of Oz, Twin Flame Journey. The never-ending journey also, you know, and that's another story coming up. Yeah, I bet you can guess, the never-ending story, yes. So, you know, at this stage, Dorothy and her friends, the lion, the scarecrow, and the Tin Man, and Toto, are all in the poppy field. So that's where we finished from the last part of it. So they've got to the poppy field, and you know, that wicked witch is throwing in obstacles again, you know, and on this path it doesn't give up, you know. The obstacles, when I say Twin Flame Journey is like no other, it's no exaggeration. I'm not exaggerating, and anyone who's Twin Flame will know that. The obstacles are there from the off, and you know, it's just come to my knowing, I'd say in the last year, that I've been targeted from possibly being born or childhood. Again, because this call, you know, that tornado that hit Kansas, me, this tower, you know. So tornado is for Dorothy, you know, that hits Kansas. So before the tornado hit Dorothy, she was asleep. So was I. So before my tower hit me, I was fast asleep, you know. That tower for me was my awakening. Excuse me. And that set me on this then, you know, this fool's journey to discovering myself, you know, this long Yellow Bit Word, and also set Dorothy on the Yellow Bit Word. You know, my Yellow Bit Word being the Twin Flame Journey, my spiritual awakening, the call. Yeah, this call came in loud and clear when that tornado hit Kansas and the tower hit Hull, where I live, my home. Yeah, that call, it was loud and clear, couldn't escape it, you know. So they're in the poppy field and they're all together, you know. You know, they're moving forward together on this journey. Dorothy's not on her own anymore. She's out of this hermit stage. You know, at the very beginnings of the Twin Flame Awakening, you are very much a hermit. You are very much in solitude. You are very much on your own. And you don't ever think you're going to come out of that solitude, because it's like silence that you've never felt before in your life, you know. It's a stillness that spirit wants you in to heal, you know, when you go into deep, deep stillness and solitude and get took away from everything you've ever known, people, places, yeah, everything you've ever known, you know, socialising, yeah, drinking. I spoke about alcohol in the last one. Can't drink anymore. I just can't. It just does not agree with me. Does not agree with my vibration anymore. Also puts me at danger from the wicked witches, as I spoke about that last time. It allows, you know, my auric field to be pierced, and then that wicked witch then, you know, can come in. And, you know, I talked about the temptation. My temptation was alcohol, and it's a really hard thing, you know, to give up when we live in a world where, you know, alcohol is, it's sociable, isn't it? We go to the pub, we meet our friends, everyone does it, don't we, you know, apart from the ones that give it up, you know. But yeah, that's part of society's belief that we have to drink to yeah, like have these parts of ourselves inside ourselves, you know, to have confidence, to you know, it gives you that yeah, that confidence, doesn't it? To what I know now, I thought it was to be truly myself, but it really wasn't. It was just numbing my true self. You know, so that was my temptation. It was also my wicked witch, and I woke up to that. Took me a few times, I'm not gonna lie, took me a good few times to wake up. That alcohol just did not do me any favours, you know, as in on this path that I'm on now. No, it gave that wicked witch my ammunition against me, you know, that demonic energy, that, yeah, the dark, you know, that people can't understand on this journey until you've been faced with it yourself, until you've come across it yourself. Yeah, you know, I was fighting at that point, and it was not a week, not 2 weeks, you know, not months, fighting. And you feel like you're fighting for your life on this journey, and that's no exaggeration either. You know, Dorothy in Offence was fighting to stay alive from that wicked witch. Ultimately, she wanted those ruby slippers off Dorothy so she could control us, you know, and yeah, about power, and yeah, you know, so she wanted that control. And the temptations on this path, also the temptation for me was, because this path is so hard, it's the most painful, brutal, deep healing path you're going to go on in your entire life. It's brutal. There's no other word for it. Yeah, it's brutal. You're fighting for your life at points, and you're on your own. And why? Because that is where you find your strength. If you are fighting for your life to get up every day when the exhaustion gets to that point where it has you on your knees, it's had me there many times. Yeah, you're fighting unseen things as well. That's the main thing on this path as well, because you can fight what you can see, you know. I can fight what I don't like in myself. I can fight my family and my friends, and I have. I've fought everybody on this path. And it's not because I like fighting, because I don't, because my nature is to forgive and love, you know. That's why I'm a twin flame, divine feminine, is because my nature, my core soul nature is to love and unconditionally love, even when people aren't treating me right, you know, not to be walk over. I've learned that on this path. But yeah, my true divine nature is not a fighter. I'm not, I don't like hurting people and things like that. But what this path shows you is brings you to your strength and your emotional boundaries, you know, and saying no, I had a really, really hard time saying no to people. I'd say yes, yes, yes. I was a people pleaser. I'm not ashamed to say that. That was part of my ego that I had to balance out. Why? It was probably an inner child wound, as I know it now. I went into my inner child. I was going to move that car because I've got a new working place. Spirits divinely guided me. I knew I was going to do this. This is usually my candle making room. But from day one of this call, I've always said that it's bigger than candles. It's bigger than what you can see, you know, to my family and my friends, get back to them. It's bigger than all of that. I knew it was a bigger calling. Why? Because you know. It's just the knowing. Your soul knows it. And you know that if you're going through this much pain and this much transformation, there's a reason. Because I've never felt anything like it in my life. And I know I won't ever feel like it again. But yeah, you find your strength. You find your strength to stand up to your family, your friends. Yeah, to inflame too, you know, because going back to the temptations on this path, you have temptations to slip back into that codependency of you thinking you need this other person to make you whole. But when you find your strength and you start bringing these building blocks back to yourself, and you know, I've always likened it to a jigsaw. You know, little parts start fitting into place. But yeah, the Elbit Road's perfect description of this path. Hence why Spirit's brought it through to me. Yeah, those temptations get less and less when you find your strength, because you know in yourself more. You know what you put up with more, and you also know it's part of this journey. So I'm a weaver. I weave energy. I manipulate energy. Alchemist. I am the magician. No, I don't know it at this stage. No, what I feel at this stage of my journey is I'm codependent on other people. Also, my partner, my children, you know, things like that. Looking outside of myself, that codependency that we build up. And we think that we need all of that to make us whole as a person and to be strong, and, you know, not to have your own voice and let others think for you and make decisions for you. Yeah, I was all of that. I really was. I was just so, yeah, loving and giving and all of that. But this path has taught me emotional boundaries, strength, courage, wow, bravery beyond even I knew I was a strong person. I'm a Leo. I'm not lying, you know. I'm quiet, but I'll roar if I need to. But yeah, I'm very, very loving, very forgiving, very all of that. That's not an ego thing. That's just because I know myself. I knew myself before this path that I was that, but I was too much of that. I needed that balance. I needed that that strength inside of me to fully awaken, to understand, you know, it's about balance. It's not about all give. It's not about all take. No, you have that balance. I mean, I was more of a giver. I never took. I'd always give. And never ever got it back, really. That reciprocity, especially, you know, from the twin flame in the early stages. No, I was trying so hard to keep, you know, this connection from that tower happening. I could feel that tower coming in. I felt it before it came in. Why? I meant to. I feel energy. So I was trying so hard to stop the inevitable, because I could feel that undercurrent, you know. Whereas I know my twin flame could feel something, and like, but I think it was more that we weren't connecting it as a friends anymore. Something was happening to our connection that had not happened before. And you're talking a lot of years, childhood, friendship, and I'm 47 now. So from age 10, 11. A lot of codependency, a lot of leaning on this other person, you know, for strength and courage and brains. The same brains, I'm like, got my own brains. But yeah, brains, you know, solving problems that you couldn't solve, you know. We've got each other through some very, very, very hard times in both our lives, you know. And the roles reverse, you know, you will be that strength for that person through like life and certain times in life, and that person was my strength through certain times in life. But what that did was it didn't allow me to find my own strength. So I was codependent very much. So when I lost this, when that tower hit, you know, that tornado hit Kansas, Dorothy lost everything she'd ever known, everything she'd ever lent on. And yeah, you know, her friends back at the farm, she lost everything she'd ever thought made her, you know, her stability. But that was an illusion, you know. Nobody can give you your strength, nobody can give you your courage, nobody can you know, show you the yellow brick road. No. That call was my awakening. So it sent me into the hermit, and that, you know, things unknown at that point. But yeah, so we know now that Dorothy and friends, they're in the poppy field. So Glinda's come to the rescue again. So on this path, I spoke briefly about who comes to the rescue for us. Well, it's my angels, it's my spirit teams, ancestors, higher masters. I've also known, the further I've got down on this path, I'm a higher master myself. I'm a teacher of spiritual knowledge. Hence why I'm online talking about it and divinely guided, you know, to talk about it. Everything I do comes from that divinely guided place. I don't do anything if it's not from my soul. I don't. It's pointless. I'm not living my true authentic self if I'm just going to come online and make up readings and, you know, yeah, no. Once you follow this yellow brick road path and you know your true self, and those temptations have stopped happening. To, you know, those temptations can also be slipping back into old patterns of the ego mind. So not believing you've got these gifts was a really big struggle for me. Not believing that I hold this magic inside myself. Not believing that I can channel. Not believing, you know, that I have had past lives. I have had past lives in Lemuria. Not believing that, yeah, just not believing in all of this path, this yellow brick road journey I was on. But there comes a point on this journey where you've done enough transformation, you know, you've gone into your Kundalini rising, your dark night of the soul, you're in separation from your twin flame, so that codependency is slowly slipping away. You've got no choice at this point, you know, that person's pulled that energy away from you. Yeah, it brings up all abandonment wounds, it brings up mother wounds, it brings up, you know, all the inner child healing, the trauma. It brought up all of that for me. When that separation happened between me and my twin, yeah, I was pretty much in my dark night. It was bringing all my trauma, all my wounds to the surface, all of what I needed to heal inside myself. It brought that up. But yeah, very, very lonely, isolating, painful place. And because I built up that codependency on this other person who I thought could make me whole, no wrongdoing of their own and no wrongdoing of mine, but it's just that connection, you know. When it's soul connection, it's totally different to the earthly realm connection, you know, like the on the surface, you know. I always knew this connection was different from childhood. We always had that that road back to each other, you know, we'd separate from childhood, and then our past would intervene again, then we'd separate, then we'd intervene again. It wasn't up until my mid-20s that I came back to live in my hometown. I left at 16, so, you know, in between those years I would visit my hometown, and I would visit yeah, my friend, my close friend, you know, the twin flame that I know her as now. So I would make a point to go visit, you know, whenever I come back I would visit. But we lost touch ultimately. And yeah, you do. You have to go off and you have to have your separate lives, and you have to have those experiences with other people and go through the BS, the same. BS. Again, you know. And you have to have those experiences. Why? Because then it sets you upon this path of knowing yourself, you know, knowing that those experiences you had, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be the person if you didn't have those experiences, you know. But yeah, ultimately our paths, always, and then within, you know, we'd come back in, and yeah, we'd do that for many, many years, up until probably mid-20s, where I was on a night out, tempted by a drink, because I wasn't awake at that point. I was very much still asleep, you know, I was in that poppy field. But yeah, I was out on a night out, and chance had it, no chances on this path, no coincidences. My childhood friend was across the way. Well, that was it. It's like we've never been separated. So yeah, and that is when we come back in contact again, and have been ever since. Apart from, so, you know, many years from my mid-20s, I was in very, very dark place, very bad illness. Yeah, things wasn't very, very good in my life, let's say. I wasn't being treated the way I should have been treated. I understand that now, and I put up with too much, and I also understand that now. Would I do it again? No, too strong. But again, because I was in a very, very low place and very ill, also fighting this very painful chronic illness off, that codependency was there, you know. I let another person try to heal me, you know. No wrongdoing of that other person's, no, just being a complete true friend to me, like vice versa. I would be there the same as well, and we've been like that from childhood up until, I know, until we leave this earthly realm, we'll be like that with each other's, you know, yeah, with each other's yin and yang, other half. That's what we are. But didn't know that back then. Just knew that we had this very, very close bond right away. But yeah, so where was I? Lost my train of thought. I'm off the yellow brick road. Yeah, I was leaning too much on this other person because I was asleep. I wasn't awake. That call had not happened. So I didn't have all this strength, didn't have all this transformation, you know, that I do now. I hadn't took this journey then. But yeah, it was up until we separated. That's when that call came in. It was coming in before we separated. I look back now, it was coming in way before. Been on this path a lot longer than I realised as well. But yeah, so that call was my, you know, wake up, Ellie. It's time to stop leaning on everybody else outside of yourself. Find that true soul self inside yourself. That true, you know, who we really are. What we really are is magic. Beyond, we have so much inside us that, you know, we need to uncover on this path. But yeah, so that's where the codependency comes in. So I'll get back to the automatic rating. So, well, I think I've spoken anyhow. Yeah, So unbeknown to me, this journey was about finding my magic.